Kia ora, good evening. I'm Mary Joseph. I'm a licensed immigration advisor. And today I'm here to talk about some exciting information. Of course, it's related to immigration, it's related to what's happening with the New Zealand immigration at the moment. I am coming live from Auckland. It's 8:30 p.m. on the 13th of May. We had some interesting announcements on the 11th of May regarding the rebalancing of New Zealand immigration. So, post COVID, there's been a lot of changes in the industry. There's been a lot of, what do you say, um, sudden need that New Zealanders are to be supported. New Zealanders need more training. New Zealanders needs job. So, Immigration New Zealand, the government of New Zealand, has decided to make some very important changes in the way we migrate, bring in the migration from offshore, and also for the migrants who are already here, provide multiple other opportunities for them to eventually settle. So it's exciting because things have changed course after a very long time. I've been in this industry for nearly 2 decades now, and this kind of a reform or a rebalance, which the government is calling, is quite I would say it's totally on the opposite side. However, I also understand it is important for a country that is small as New Zealand to support New Zealanders. So, in view of that, the government has decided to focus on areas, first of all, on areas that are critical, where the employers are actually finding a shortage. So there is already an existing skill shortage list, which are called the essential skills in demand. There's a long term, there's a regional. So these skills are there, but then they're very broad across the board. However, over COVID, things have changed, the industries have changed. So the government has now come up with another list, which is called the green list. So the green list has pretty much all the occupations that were there on the long term skill shortage, but however, they have come up with this new reformed green list, right? So they have done that, and there is introduction of new work visa, which is starting from the 4th of July. There is also new work to new pathways of residence that are available, apart from the very popular work to residence and the very popular skilled migrant category. Most importantly, to begin with, the borders are opening for everybody from the 31st of July, and applications will be processed from then onwards, which is basically the 1st of August, where students, visitors from all around the world, partners of temporary workers, and students, pretty much everybody can come in. First of all, you need to apply for a visa, right? If your visa application is already in the pipeline, that will basically resume processing. And I think it'll only be fair. I am not very sure. I don't have this information from INZ. However, I think it'll be fair if they are prioritized first because they've been sitting in the queue for over 2 years. So my belief is that they'll do, because Immigration New Zealand has always been fair in that sense. So I believe that they will touch them first before they accept any new applications, or finish them before they go on to new applications, right? So, anyways, let me go into the what do you say, the announcement, the borders announcement, and the reforms in, I won't say in very detail, but I'm going to touch upon all of them purely for you to get some idea. I will be doing some more videos like this where I will talk about them in specific, in detail, with instructions after I get more clarity from immigration, because at this stage we are a little unaware of a lot of details under these categories. For example, the first one is the introduction of the accredited employer work visa. So the accredited employer work visa basically is open to all migrants based onshore and offshore from the 4th of July 2022. So if you were to extend a visa, if you're in New Zealand and you were to apply for a work visa, you have to apply only under the accredited employer work visa. You cannot apply under the existing visa rules, which is the essential skills work visa, right? If you're applying from offshore as well, you have to apply under the accredited employer scheme. Now, the only thing is that the accredited employer scheme comes with a bit of a, what do you say, clause there. Number one being that you cannot um, apply for, all the employers, only those who are accredited. Okay, now this is 2022, and right now you can only apply for the employers who decide to get accredited, which is going to open from the 27th of May, the applications for accreditation. So the employers can apply, and those who have accreditation can basically hire migrants and sponsor their visas, right? Now, that's one very, very important thing to know. But however, there is one very interesting information also about accredited employer, is that from 2023, from sometime in 2023, we don't know when, all employers in New Zealand are required to be accredited if they were to hire a migrant. Now, this could be absolutely anybody. It could be part time, it could be casual employment, it could be full time employment, it could be open work visa, it could be an unaccredited employer work visa. It is no longer now a requirement for you to sponsor a visa as an employer. You will also need to find a job as an with an accredited employer to work as a migrant. Now, this was brought in purely because of the amount of, what do you say, migrant exploitation that was happening in the country, right? People were paid less, people were overworked, they were paid below the minimum wage. A lot of these things were happening where it is, first of all, illegal. Besides that, the migrant who is here coming to New Zealand with a lot of hopes and aspirations is at a disadvantage, because he or she is being exploited by people, employers who know that the migrants are desperate. They're desperate to earn. They're desperate to survive. This is desperate to live here in the country. So to remove that completely, now it from 2023, at some point, it will become mandatory. So Immigration New Zealand wants to give enough time to employers to get this accreditation into place, so that um, pretty much everybody who wants to hire a migrant on any visa has to get it done. It is more to say they're going to check whether the employer is doing all the requirements as per the laws, or different laws, employment laws, immigration laws, everything. Are you taking off labor laws? Are you taking off health and safety? Are you taking off all that? Are you paying the wages that's required? Are you paying them correctly? I mean, are you valuing them for their skills correctly? So the accredited employer scheme is basically going to push and see if these employers, so this, there was nothing to check these employers in the past. Now this is a check, right? Every year this accreditation gets renewed. Every year the employer records are checked, so you as a migrant are not exploited, right? So it's a good thing. People who want to come to New Zealand, don't fear this. Okay, it's important. It is like, say, if I'm an employer in New Zealand, I need to have, say, I need to pay tax. So this is going to be just one more rule for underemployment. So it's not setting you at a disadvantage. So anybody hiring anybody, any migrant in New Zealand, any employer will need it. So you will see a host of employers across New Zealand who will get this into place. Yeah. Even if they are required to hire someone on a holiday working visa, even then the employer is supposed to. So it's another check that the employer needs to do before hiring migrants. So there's nothing to worry about having a disadvantage. Okay, so that's a good thing. Now, the accredited employer work visa also will be only granted to those who have a median wage, right? So the employers need to offer you a median wage salary in order to sponsor your visa. Now, again, this is important to understand that you're paid right, you're paid at your skill level. Because what happens is, with inflation, with the changes in the economy, you will need to be paid rightly. I have seen a lot of migrants are being underpaid here in New Zealand, which is a shame, for very, very high technical skills, trade skills. And I feel sorry that they are underpaid. Okay, but the accredited employer work visa now will ensure that you're paid rightly. So the median wage July, from the 4th of July, is going to be 27.76, I think. Just give me a second. I've got way too much of information in front of me right now. Just gonna, yeah, so that's 27.76 per hour that you are required to pay. Besides that, as an accredited employer, if you were to sponsor a work visa, there needs to be a minimum of 30 working hours that you need to offer to the migrant, right? Now, another important thing about accredited employer work visa. Now, I'm going to talk to you about the process, right? I'm just going to touch upon it briefly. First of all, the accredited employer work visa, an employer needs to get accreditation. So that will start from now. And the employer, as long as they're accredited, he or she can hire migrants from offshore or in New Zealand, right, on the visa. So what happens stage one? If an employer wants to fill a position, the first thing the employer needs to do is something called a job check, right? A job check means a labor market test, saying that, okay, I'm going to advertise and I'm going to first reach out to New Zealanders saying, hey, listen, I've got this opportunity. I've advertised on national sites and you please go ahead and apply. Now, if they are not able to find the New Zealanders after certain period or for the job check, we don't have those details as to how many weeks it needs to run. Under the current setting, it's at least 2 weeks, but I'm not sure what it's going to be. We are still waiting for further instructions on the number of weeks it needs to run for the job check. So once the job check is done, if they are saying, listen, I can't, there are no New Zealanders who applied, or the New Zealanders applied but they're not fitting the requirement, or the New Zealanders who applied have low skilled and cannot be trained. Okay, in those scenarios, so immigration is also would like to see employers show that why can't you hire someone who's got slightly lower skills and train them, right? So the employer needs to prove that, okay, it's a position I can't train someone immediately. I'm not finding New Zealanders, so now I'm going to go outside out of my New Zealanders pool of applicants and look for non-New Zealanders. So they could be both onshore or offshore. That's called a job check. Interestingly enough, if you are on an occupation which is on the green list for an accredited employer work visa, the employer does not have to do a job check, because the government has done the job for the employer already, saying, hey, listen, these are the jobs. It's very difficult to find trained New Zealanders for these positions. Don't have to do a job check. Straight away go and hire migrants. Right now, migrants could be both offshore or onshore. Doesn't matter. So if you're on the green list and you're sitting offshore right now, please talk to us, right? Because it's I'm telling you, in so many years, I have not seen the New Zealand government reaching out offshore, asking for people to come in so clearly and openly with a list and say, hey, listen, we need these people. Yes, there was the long-term skill shortage list, there was the essential skills work visa, but it was not explicitly said that, migrants from offshore under these areas, please come. So this is more like an invitation saying, if you're based offshore, you have these skills, but please be aware these skills are very, very specific. Now, you could be an IT graduate, but under IT graduate, there's a very particular skill that is required, saying ICT project management. So when an employer selects you from offshore, there is something else that kicks in, which is called an applicant check, right? So Immigration New Zealand, once you apply, Immigration New Zealand will do an applicant check, which is said whether you meet the qualification requirement, is the role that is being offered to you, are you suitable for that? Do you have you met health and character requirement? And do you have the experience which is required for that role? Are you being paid that salary which is there set for that particular? Are you paid at, what's a market value? So these are some things that they will check when they do an applicant check. So that is the third stage of the process, right? So first stage is employer check, which is the accreditation, which will be done by the time most likely you are looking for a job, right? Second will be job check, where we are going to go out, the employer is going to go out and say, hey, listen, I need New Zealanders. If you're not there, then I will move forward to offer it to a migrant, right? Irrespective of where they are based. Third one is you make the application, and then it's the applicant check. And now the process, according to immigration, the timeline, they're talking about the whole process to be completed within 30 working days from start to finish. So this is an amazing opportunity if you are in that green list, right? for your benefit, I will paste the link of the green list on both these chats. I am coming live both on Facebook and YouTube. So this is the green list. So I'm just going to paste that in the chat. So you can pick that up. My team can also pin that comment so that you're able to see it right on top. So that's the green list. And if you fit the bill, talk to us, right? All our contact details are there. Just send us an email. We are also working on a plan where we have a large database of employers who will be looking at hiring people under these, right? Under the green list. We are probably one of the only few advisors who have a good understanding, a strong understanding of how these things work, and also have an understanding of how things work on the other side of the world where these qualified people are available, right? So, like for example, the green list has some very amazing list of job roles that I think India is amazing place where you can find a lot of construction project managers. We have a lot of quantity surveyors, we have chemical engineers, we have civil engineering technicians, we have environmental engineers, we've got materials engineers, then you've got teachers, you've got food technologists, you've got environmental research scientists, you've got ICT specialists, you've got software engineers. Um, there are a whole list of health related jobs as well, which could be a bit tricky from non English speaking countries because it has a lot of requirements and prerequisites to meet. We usually do not get in those areas, but we are researching on that. And once we are confident that we are able to support doctors and surgeons, we will definitely offer that service. Right now, we are going to look at anyone that does not need a registration apart from nurses and teachers, right? So right now our focus area is on this. So nurses and teachers are also there, secondary teachers, secondary school teachers and early childhood teachers are also on that list. Surprisingly enough, that teachers from certain countries, um, qualification, some of the list of qualifications are equivalent to the New Zealand qualifications, and you can come and you can apply for your registration as a teacher directly. So as I said, I'm going to dwell into these a little more, right? And I'm going to talk to you about them when I come to the green list and things like that in the near future. Not today because it's very very exhaustive, and we're also waiting for further instructions from immigration on the green list and things like that, right? So that's the accredited employer. We've covered the 3 stages and stuff like that. That's done. So moving on. What is the other change that happened? The other change that happened, or the other announcement that's happened, is Immigration New Zealand, sorry, the government wants to support the work visa holders here. There are a lot of work visa holders that are here, and employers are heavily relying on them. Now, because they are opening the borders, there's so much of work involved. So the government said, okay, listen, you know what? Anybody who is in New Zealand on an employer assisted visa, which is an essential skills work visa, or a post study work visa, or a partner of a worker work visa, or all of you, from the 9th of May till the 31st of December, please be aware you need to be in New Zealand on the 9th of May, and your visa should expire between the 9th of May and 31st of December 2022. Please, I've got tons of emails already on this, but please pay attention on this. 9th of May to December 31st, 2022. If your visa expires during this period, then you will be sent an email or communicated that you are eligible for the automatic extension. Even if you don't get that email, if you were in New Zealand on the 9th of May, be assured that you will. Now, if you've already applied for a visa, you have an opportunity to withdraw that, right? Or go ahead with it, doesn't matter. Or your visa is expiring in the future, and for some reason you feel, now I want 3 years instead of 2 years, please go ahead and apply before the 4th of July under the essential skills. From before the third or before. After the fourth and after the fourth, you cannot apply for an essential skills. You have to only apply for the accredited employer work visa, right? Whatever you got to do, you got to do now, right? So you talk to us. If you feel your visa is expiring next year, then you have to apply for a visa extension. If you feel your employer might take time to get the accreditation or whatever. Have a chat with us. We might be able to give you better clarity on whether you should do it or not, right? We have already discussed with a lot of people. Some of them have applied, they also want to withdraw it. So, well, that's good enough. If you've applied for residence, it's a good option. Maybe you should just withdraw it and, you know. So whether or not, have a chat with us, right? So those are about the automatic visa extensions. Now, there is in this rebalancing immigration, New Zealand, there is another very important information that it has been released. So, if you are going to be on a partnership based work visa, right, of a temporary migrant worker, suppose you're a partner of an accredited, that's obviously from December. So if you're a essential skills work visa holders partner, or post study work visa holders partner, or um, accredited employer work visa partner, or work to residence work visa holder partner, or yeah, I think these are the ones. So temporary migrant partners, you will be granted visitor visas if you apply from the December 2022. So you will not be granted direct work visa, and you will be allowed visitor visas. And once you come to New Zealand, then you will need to qualify on your own merits for an accredited employer work visa. That has to be on your own right. So that's what it is going to be. So that's, it's critical, right? So if you're obviously applying for an employer assisted work visa, accredited employer work visa, you need to have median wage as a partner of a temporary worker, and or has to be on the on the green list, right? So yes, it is a bit confusing. uh the whole, motto around this is a bit, what do you say, it's not convincing. We don't know why immigration is doing this, or the government is doing this. Unfortunately, you will not be given direct work rights, so you will have to come in, work as I said, find job, and apply for an accredited employer, right? Besides that, good news is we've got some more residence pathways that are open. So resident pathways are mainly the ones that have been released are, if you are on the green list and meet the requirement exactly as per the green list, you can apply for a fast track residence, right? Now this fast track residence lists a certain occupations, and there is a specific salary for certain occupations. For example, ICT managers, if you're offered a job an ICT manager and you want to apply for a fast track residence, and that can happen from the September 2022, right? So, and this is also available for people offshore, okay? So if you are coming in as an ICT manager, you have to be offered $120,000 salary. Only then you can apply for the fast track residence. If not, then you will have to obviously apply for the you'll have to apply for the work to residence pathway. So there are two pathways that they opened up: work to residence for people who are there are specific occupations under the work to residence, or people who have twice the median wage can apply for something called a work to residence pathway, right? Or there's the fast track option. Honestly, I myself am a little confused in this area because we don't have the instructions out. It's only an amendment that's been sent out for certain areas, and there is just a fact sheet. I don't have details, hence I'm not going to talk about it. I don't have clarity, so I'm just giving you the gist. Read, and what you're reading and understanding is pretty much what I'm reading and understanding, right? So we will know more, because anyways this is releasing only from September, so there's nothing lost right now. We will wait, and as and when the information is released, I will talk about it, right? So that's the two pathways that they have released right now, and they're still working out the details. So the fast track straight to residence pathway, and the work to residence pathway, which will be opened from September this year. Kindly, immigration has also said that they're going to talk about the skilled migrant pathway in 2022, before the close of the year, They are reviewing the skilled migrant pathway, which is another very popular option available, which they will do after July, because the 2021 resident visa deadline is the 31st of July, and immigration is going to talk about it and review it by the end of the year, which is another pathway which I feel is available. Yeah, which is available for most people. And I know for a fact many of my clients who have come in on, say, student visas and eventually have progressed on to applying for residence. I think of all the people who have applied, 80% of them go into SMC and they qualify, right? Even though the policies have been changing, a lot of them have qualified. And I can tell you our students have a very, very high conversion rate from student to resident. And we are hoping to set realistic expectations with these changes. I know I just saw a comment of someone who says, with these changes, it's very, very difficult to do it. I'm saying, listen, guys, if you are skilled, have good English, important, you have to be skilled, you have to be high skilled. You could be average skilled, but you could get better. If you intend to study in New Zealand, you could get better. Yeah, you could get better and then use the opportunity in hand. I have seen people going from average to being really, really good in New Zealand, right? It's all about using the opportunity, right? So right now, all I can tell you is, if you're skilled, if you're highly skilled, you've got good English, you can present yourself to the employers and get that job. You still have that opportunity here in New Zealand. There's nothing to be scared. Or look at a clear return on investment, right? So when you come to New Zealand, come with a realistic idea that, okay, if I'm going to come in, I've got, say, 1 year of study, 2 years of study, and then getting a 3 years, say, if you're studying at a master's level. I'm going to come in and I am going to use this time, 3 years, to the best of my available opportunity, right? I should go out, not just work XYZ employers, focus on what I need the most. Is that job that will qualify me for residence? So if you have your focus in the right place, you will get your return on investment. That return on investment could be the 3 years that you earn the money back that you have spent, or it could be a further opportunity to stay on and live here in New Zealand, right? If you're not on the green list, I know there's so much of talk about the green list. If you're not on the green list, no problem. Because New Zealand is one of the best countries that you can seek opportunity. Unfortunately, there are other countries as well that have tough laws like this. But New Zealand does not discourage you no matter what your age is, right? So, but most of the countries will discourage you to come here and study, seek that pathway to eventually settle in this country. I know a lot of you will be looking at student pathway as your first option if you're not on the green list specifically. So, if that's the case, um, um, you know, take advice, take proper advice, talk to immigration advisors like us, weigh and balance your options, see if there is a return on investment. Okay, I'm going to spend this much money. What am I going to get in return? Do that calculation. We are there to help you with that. We are there to give you set realistic expectations for you. And then it's up to you to decide. And if you want to take up that opportunity, we are there to support you, right? So immigration advice, seek immigration advice from someone who understands both the offshore market, the onshore requirement, what is required here in New Zealand, and then take advice. I'm also talking about, and then proceed. I'm also talking about the student visas, I'm talking about work visas, I'm talking about partnership visas, I'm talking about the accredited visas, work visas, I'm talking about partners of student visas, please. Yeah. So I know a lot of you are asking me questions. Unfortunately, this is not a Q&A. I'm just going to talk about what I had on the agenda. If you have questions about the work visa changes, post-study work visa changes, I've already done a video 2 days ago. So please go on to our Facebook page. You will find the video on the post-study work visa changes that I had done already. Go through that and you will understand what it is. And also, partner work visas for students in New Zealand already, and workers will be resuming processing from the 1st of August. Yeah. So that's what it is. So thank you very much. I tried to ram that in all in 30 minutes. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and share. And stay tuned for our videos, because a lot of exciting things happening with New Zealand, and we will give you a clear um, outline, clear understanding of what it is. Don't try to dabble. This is the law. So don't try and fix things by yourself. Yeah. Thank you, Kaki Teano. See you next time.